Prerna Arora Singh, and I'm speaking from Jaipur, Rajasthan, India. And today we have a guest with us, Mr. Rod King, MBE. And I just welcome Rod on my show. This show is based on road safety. Its name is Drive Safer Mission Possible. We have started this show in February 2021 when we had a National Road Safety Month in India, and it was due to the pandemic we thought what we should do, so we should started this this show. And in first series we organized 25 chat shows where various people, various eminent experts from international road safety scenario as well as the national Indian perspective, they joined me. And now it is a second series. We have started this during UN Global Road Safety Week since yesterday only, and today is the second show of this entire series, which gonna run till 23rd of May during this week. So I just wanted to introduce Mr. Rod King to my viewers. That Rod King started to campaign for lower speed limits in Warrington, UK in 2004. He went on to set up 20s Plenty for Us in 2007 in order to assist others in communities which wanted lower speeds and speed limits. With a focus on the single issue of campaigning for 20 mph limits for most roads, 20 Plenty for us now has 500 local campaigns in UK, Ireland, USA, Canada, and Australia. And in countries we use that Love 30 name. So in June 2013, Road was awarded an MBE, which I have asked him that what it is, mean by. So it's a member of British Empire for services to road safety in the Queen's Birthdays honors. Rod has an honors degree in automobile engineering, and in 2017 he worked with the World Health Organization to developing a slow down day toolkit for UN Global Road Safety Week, which has used over in 1,000 campaigning events around the world and continues to work at a global level. So, welcome, Mr. Rod, on our show. And I think
Well,
everything is fine there in this pandemic situation with you and your family.
it is, and I'm delighted to be here, by the way, and speaking. So thank you very much for inviting me, and my best wishes to you and your fellow countrymen in India, because I know it's going through a very difficult time at the moment with
Yes.
the pandemic. And the one thing is that this pandemic and coronavirus, it's a little bit like road casualty to deaths, and in some ways, because it can affect us all, right? And I think that's one of the things which is really universal, wherever you are in the world. The effect of people being hit by motor cars is exactly the same. It kills and it injures, and so it's very important that we all do what we can to reduce that and play our role in making our places safer and better places to be.
True, true, very true. And right now in India, as you are already aware, that it's a pandemic is, and the second wave of pandemic is a really deadliest one. We actually, overcome with the first one with a very, mild effect, but second one is really, hitting us on the ground. And but it's a part of life, and you rightly said that it's relates to the road fatality injuries, and we kindly relate with that. It's a globally affecting to all of us. So
Mm.
it's really it's a pandemic situation. My question to you is about you only, that we were discussing and I was reading on this your profile also, and we all know that this year's Global Road Safety Week theme is Love 30. So could you elaborate what how do you started this work, and what motivated you to start this work, if you can share with us.
Well, I really started because each I cycled. I still cycle, and each year I went on a holiday for about uh, 5 days, uh, just to to visit a country or whatever. And I've
Mm-hmm.
been to various countries, Spain, Ireland, in Europe. And in 2004, I decided to visit our twin town, which was Hilden in Germany. Um,
Okay.
and there they had 23% of in-town trips were by bicycle, which is really quite high. Uh, and I wanted to find out what sort of cycle facilities they had.
Mm-hmm.
So I cycled across there, and I found that they didn't have any. But what they
Okay.
had was in the 1990s, they'd set a 30 kilometers per hour limit for most roads. And that was the way in which they made it so much safer and so much more attractive for people to cycle. So
Mm-hmm.
I went back to my hometown, Warrington, and realized that by trying to make cycling safe in really an environment where we had a 30-mile-an-hour limit in Warrington, which is around about 50 kilometers per hour, this was
Mm-hmm.
much, much faster than our twin town would
Yeah.
accept. Right. And so I started to campaign for a lower speed limit of 20 mile an hour in the town of Warrington. I found out all the guidance and the regulations on it and campaign. And various people from around the country realized that I was the person who understood this. So they started asking me questions. And after about 3 years, it had got to the point where I said, well, I need to, to make it easier for people to find out what the benefits were, what the rules were, what the regulations were. So I started 20's Plenty for Us. And I started it really for communities, because one of the things is that communities really know what's best for their places, their streets.
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
know almost implicitly when vehicles are going too fast in their streets. They know that something needs to be done about it. They feel the fear of their children going
Mm-hmm.
out on the streets. Right. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's why I started 20's Plenty for Us, to help campaigns. And then campaigns started to be created around the country. People who contacted 20's Plenty and said, can we start a local campaign in Bristol, in Bath, in London, or in Edinburgh, or wherever? And we did so much of it, or rather, I did so much of it, using a website to present the case,
Mm-hmm.
for example, why just doing it around schools wasn't good enough. We need to protect children for their whole journey from home to school. And
Mm-hmm.
we just grew and grew gradually. And now we have 500 local campaigns, mainly in the UK, but in other parts of the world as well. We have, I think, we now have 4 part-time staff, right? Uh, and we're a very poor organization. We only have about $30,000 a year income, so we're not
Mm-hmm.
rich, but we have thousands upon thousands of volunteers in their communities who are
Mm-hmm.
working with their politicians, working with the media, working with their friends, working with the rest of the community to say that 20's plenty, right, in miles per hour where they live. And this really shows the way in which an NGO, once it can tap into what communities and people want, it can be a
True.
very powerful voice, right? Um, and of course, we must never forget that the people who we want to slow down in their motor vehicles are the community. They're the people whose sons and daughters want to be able to walk to school. They're the people whose parents, age 70, 80, may want to walk to the shops. So the more we work within communities, then the more we're actually enabling those people in the communities who will drive to see their street through a different set of eyes. So instead of seeing it through a windscreen and feeling safe
Mm-hmm.
in your motor car and seeing all those people outside, you see that street more from the side. You see it from what it's like to walk on it, on the roads. You even crouch down to see the street from the height of an 8-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And all these are things which can be used to actually enable politicians, road safety people, the community to say, it will be much better if we had a lower speed limit. And I think one of the things which is happening, and it's happening in UN Global Road Safety Week all over the world, that people are recognizing that how fast
Hmm.
we go in towns does not determine our journey times. It's how long we're
Yes.
stopped determines
Yes.
our journey times, and how fast you go between those congestion points, how fast you go between the traffic lights is not
Mm-hmm.
going to affect your journey time. So there's no real benefit from going faster. And really, 30 kilometers per hour, right, is something which, if we don't exceed that, then there will be no disadvantages, but there will be huge benefits for everyone. Everybody, in terms of their safety, in terms of noise, in terms of the
Mm-hmm.
ability to walk or cycle safely, and just it will make places better places to be.
It is really, very, heartening to listen that you have a little of money, but you have a thousands and thousands of the volunteers, and your work is actually, seen on road. I was just narrating you that in 2017, I was in London and I roam around across the overall all the London cities through that double decker buses. I took a tour also, but I've seen that 20 speed limit is on the ground. Actually, it was painted, all the speed limit signs were there, and people are actually following those speed limits. And it feels very safe and good. Even I was traveling all alone, as an Indian woman, don't go everywhere all alone. But at that time, I was, roaming around the London city streets all alone. But it was gives you very, safe feeling that vehicles are not roaming here and there, and you have a safe place to walk around and roam around and see the beautiful places. So it really gives you, pleasure to actually feel the vibes of city. And I found that on ground. So it is a my personal experience that I have seen that on practically. My question on this, that now it is becoming a popular, and already it is a theme of global road safety week, that everybody is talking about, to work on love 30, we can say, and to implement that on ground level. What challenges, other than the money part, because you have already told on that that you are a very poor organization. So what challenges you have faced, like how do you you were able to convince these authorities that 2020 is important and they should implement that. So if you can throw a light on that.
Yeah. I think one of the major challenges is that people involved with road safety uh, have in the past been very much site oriented. What I
Mm-hmm.
mean by that is they see a problem on a particular street, they see a problem on a particular junction, right? And they try and fix it with the features
Yes.
which they can do, which is engineering or traffic lights or whatever. So they become very site specific. Now, one of the things about the whole Love 30 movement is that it's population wide. Because what you saw in London and what you
Mm-hmm.
would see in a third of the UK now is where local authorities have said most of our roads will have a 20 mile an hour, i.e., a 30 kilometers per hour limit. And that's
Yes.
done without putting in any speed bumps, without putting in any physical calming. And again, it's this population wide approach, which is very different from a site specific engineering approach. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the differences as well is when you give 30 kilometers per hour across a whole city, then most of the people who are living in that city get a 30
Mm-hmm.
kilometers per hour limit on their street. So
Yeah.
they get the benefits of it. They own it, right?
Hmm.
And this is very different from places where they see lowered speeds as a street specific thing, because then most of the people who are driving along that street don't have any benefit of it on their street where they live.
Yes.
So
Mm-hmm.
you're just going to
Mm-hmm.
force people to slow down here.
Yes.
What the whole 20s plenty and love 30 movement is about saying we're going to go slow and have the benefits of it everywhere, but in some of those places which are special and safe to do so, we're going to go faster. And that
Mm.
is what's very much behind the Stockholm Declaration, which came out
Yes.
in February 2020, to actually say 30 kilometers per hour should be the norm, unless wherever motor cars share the roads with pedestrians and cyclists, unless a higher speed limit can be proven to be safe. And that would
Yeah.
mean it would have segregated facilities for cyclists, for pedestrians, and
Mm.
crossings. And so it is possible to have higher speed limits. But where you don't have those things, we really need to protect the vulnerable road users, right,
True.
from the effect of motor vehicles and their speed.
Mm-hmm. So right now in India, especially, we are working in India, and we do have since 2017 we have a 40 driving rules gadget notification. In that, government of India has one rule which says that nearby the schools, hospitals, and all the pedestrian zones where heavy pedestrian movement is there, and the construction zones, the speed limit for entire vehicle at an hour on all roads, it's 25 kilometer per hour. But it is not implemented practically on roads. Sometimes it has some problems also. But meanwhile, in the group of experts and people who are working in road safety, they have different opinion. They think that it is not a good idea to slowing down on everywhere. And sometimes it is also said by the major experts that it is going to harm the vehicle industry, and it diminishes the jobs of the. So how do you tackle those kind of. First, my question is, did you gone through the same type of challenges and opinion for this? And if yes, then what was your approach to deal with these challenges? Over to you.
I think one thing is you have to talk about those issues, because the more you talk about those, then the more you will actually be able to understand them and take
Mm-hmm.
an objective view and realize that what I was saying before, the maximum speed of vehicles is not the thing which actually dictates how efficient we are in moving around. The
Mm-hmm.
maximum speed of vehicles as well, what if the higher the maximum speed, the higher you prioritize motor cars and people
Yes.
using motor cars, and you deprioritize cycling and public transport. And those are by far the most efficient ways in which to use space in our
Mm-hmm.
cities and towns. Right. So when you start to talk about the issues, once you start to move away from the emotion, because there's two emotions. There's the people like us who have that emotion which actually says we want to protect human life and we want to
Mm-hmm.
make it safer. And there's another emotion on the other side which actually says, well, we want to have a successful auto industry. We want to be able
Yes.
to move around our cities economically and so on. But you have to a certain extent then look at the practicalities, to
Mm.
look at that and really say, well, look, if we can reduce the speed every kilometer per hour, we reduce average speed, reduces urban casualties by about 4%.
True.
So we can even reduce that speed by, shall we say, let's suppose we can do 3 or 4 kilometers per hour. Then what that will mean is something like a 12% reduction in casualties. And what
True.
would that then mean to the reduction in total casualties across India. What will that mean in a reduction to the GDP, which is lost through casualties? So there's an economic
Mhm.
benefit from that. And then you look at that and you look at the issues about, whether we're going to get our around our towns any slower because we have a slower speed limit for most roads. And you realize there won't be. So then you can actually understand how it's something which everybody can actually see. It makes our places safer, and it
Mhm.
actually makes the automobile more viable. Because who wants to run an industry where you're killing people?
Yeah, bilkul true. Very
Yeah.
true.
And that is why the FIA Foundation, right, and others within the automobile industry are actually saying slower speeds is something which helps everybody, right? And
True.
it helps so many people and makes our communities better and just better places to be. So talk, right? That's key to it.
So conversation and talking is the most important thing, which you think that it should, the delivery be talks should be going on to make it people realize. So my last question on this note is, how do you able to bring this movement a public movement? Like you have a thousand and thousands of the volunteers. You don't have money because sometimes people think that they don't have resources, how what they can do, but your example has shown that if you really want to do something, and since 2004 it is 2020, only in 16 years, 16 years is not a very big time to deliver on this level which you have done. So what was your this approach? How do you mobilize the community with this program?
I, I think we believe very much in well, first of all, we know that 70% of the public want slower speeds. We know
Mhm.
that from surveys and surveys and surveys.
Okay.
But
Hmm.
we we take some very clear things when it comes to campaigners. We work with the willing. So when people contact us, we respond. We're very much interested in empowering people who
Hmm.
want to campaign to get better places, right? And
Hmm.
being very specific, right, in the information which we can provide them. We're quite very focused, which means we can become experts in our field, right? So we can
Hmm.
help people. We work with the willing. We actually work within communities because we say if you can make the community support for lower speeds tangible to politicians, then
Hmm.
that's a good way to get change, right?
True.
Because they're the elected representatives of the people, right? So
Hmm.
that's an important thing to do. And of course, we can help people like yourselves set up Love 30 campaigns around the country. I mean, we're
Yeah.
delighted to take our expertise and what we have developed and enable NGOs like yourselves to actually take that model and start to have the same movement in countries such as yours. Right. And we'd be delighted to talk about that further, right, with yourselves. We can't do it, but we can actually help you to do that.
Sure, because right now we have started one, two, or three NGOs have we have made a coalition as under the Alliance Incubator Program funded by the Global Alliance of NGOs for Road Safety, and we have attended your seminars and webinars, which you have deliberated in last several couple of weeks. And if you know Harpreet Singh, me and Harpreet Singh and one of our partner, we have started this movement in India at national level. We have focused on two states right now in Rajasthan and Punjab, and the debate is going on in our one of the WhatsApp group, where all the road safety experts from various field of corporates and government authorities are there, and some of them are very prone to adopt this idea, and some of them have their own reservations that it is not a good idea or it cannot be implemented in India, which I have asked you their questions. And I think this chat show will help us to more understanding more on this campaign. And the yesterday also we had a guest, Mr. Ramashankar Pandey. He's a MD of Hela India company, and he also told that community participation is required. It's a key point to start any movement. And your example has already stated this, that this has happened only because of the community participation and movement, like 20 is plenty and 30 is going around the globe. So my last this question, or anything, any suggestion or message you want to give to our audience to take up this Love 30 campaign on the ground, if you can.
I think the thing is to remember that there is huge expert opinion, right, at global level from
Mm-hmm.
all the road safety experts that whenever you slow vehicles down, you actually do get benefits, right, in reduced casualties and so on. All the evidence is there, right, and so
Mm-hmm.
it's something which is universal. It doesn't matter which cars you have. It doesn't matter which roads you are. It doesn't matter which people you are. You will
Mm-hmm.
always get a benefit from reducing the average speed of vehicles in communities, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I think that be very heartened, right, that this is not something which is debatable. This is
Yeah.
something which will happen in countries around the world. Already, Spain has set a national 30 kilometers per hour default limit. Wales is doing it. We expect others to follow. It will become the norm. The only thing which is perhaps debatable for India, which will eventually get a 30 kilometers per hour default for its streets, is how many people will be killed and injured between now and when you do get that implant. So
Mm-hmm.
I would say, right, the best advice is get out there. This is the single most effective road safety policy which there is, right? And
Yes.
it is a fantastic opportunity, right, for people in India to make their places even better places to be, right? So
Yes. Yes.
take that opportunity, right,
Yeah.
and make it happen in.
So yeah, it's very nice, nice to talk to you on the Love 30 campaign, and to understand the, deliberations which you have taken, and what motivated you. You have just visited one place. Sometimes, most of the times, if people come on this show, they have their own, kind of bad memories with them, and they have lost someone. But you shared that you just visited one twin town of your city, and you found that other city has a very good structure, and your city has not, and you started that movement, and now it is becoming a global movement. And it gives me real motivated inspiration that to move forward and take your example, and we actually could do something better in India. And definitely we are working on that, and we'll take your guidance also as soon as whenever we need. I think you will be there to help us to implement this law in India also. So
Okay.
if you want to say anything, I think you wanted to speak something.
I think thank you very much for inviting me, and all the best to your campaign. So well done for everything you do.
Okay. So thank you so much, Mr. Rod, and it was really nice chatting you. And dear viewers, you were listening Mr. Rod King, and he was speaking about the Love 30 campaign, which is right now a global theme of UN Road Safety Week, and he narrated his story that how he has started and how he has taken to this movement to the community, and when community own that movement, it has become a global movement, and that is required, and that is required in India as well, and we can save many people if we just slow down on our streets. So, on this note, please slow down, take care, stay safe, stay blessed. Thank you very much. This is Prerna Arora Singh signing off now. God bless you. Bye bye.
Thank you.